Special report.
Good evening. We're interrupting the baseball game for breaking news out of Pennsylvania. Former President Donald Trump has been shot while at a campaign rally earlier this evening. We're hearing reports that the shooter is dead as well as a bystander. We turn now to a special report that's in progress for the very latest.
Well, it might take some time. Obviously, once they have the identity of the shooter, they're going to want to look at what he's done in the past. They want to look at his social media. They're going to try to find out where that firearm came from. Who purchased that firearm for him? Did he purchase it for himself? It could go on for several months, and it will probably be worked jointly with the FBI taking the lead because it was an assassination attempt on a former president, and Secret Service providing support along with other federal agencies within their areas of expertise.
Well, they know who this person is, obviously. Shooter's dead. Will they tell us tonight?
I think they should, but again, it's going to depend on where that investigation takes them. Again, because they want to find out if there were other parties involved, and disclosing the name of the shooter could potentially cause other people to go into hiding. So it's going to depend on where the investigation takes them, I believe.
Thank you, sir. Peter Forcelli, thanks for jumping on. Really appreciate it. With Fox Digital, Brooke Singman reports this. The former Attorney General, Bill Barr, is quoted as saying, the Democrats have to stop their grossly irresponsible talk about Trump being an existential threat to democracy. He is not. That statement from Bill Barr into Fox Digital just now.
Yeah, let's take that to our Fox News contributors, Guy Benson and Charlie Hurt. Guy, you heard what the former AG said, like, we got to turn down the temperature.
Yeah, and that's going to be, I think, a theme that is going to play out and be repeated in different ways in the coming days. We're still trying to wait to get all the facts in. I think that is always smart to do, but on its face, this is horrifying. As we were just replaying the incident in real time, several seconds into the chaos and the melee, there's a blood-curdling scream from a woman that just chills you to the core. The terror, the horror, and this at a campaign rally for a man running for president. This has no place in our country. And just to zoom out for a moment, think about the volatility that we already faced in American politics with all the legal issues surrounding President Trump, the type of rhetoric that the former Attorney General just alluded to in that statement that we read, the turmoil on the Democratic side of the aisle with their likely nominee and some of the drama there. We were heading into a convention season, a summer season before a presidential election that was already simmering at about an 8 or 9 out of 10 on the temperature scale. And now we have, on top of it, what very much appears to be an assassination attempt against a former president of the United States and the leading candidate for president in the country right now. So I think it's totally appropriate for people to be calling for prayers for the former president, his family, and all those affected by what happened today. I think if you're the praying type, it might be in order to pray for our country right now, because these are dark days. And I think if we can take a collective step back and a breath and pray for our well-being as a nation, that is probably a good idea on a night like this.
Senator Judge Hawley saying there needs to be a full congressional investigation into how this could have happened. Major security breach. He's exactly right about that. I imagine the investigation, Charlie, is probably beginning right this hour.
Yes, I would think so, without a doubt. It is an extraordinary moment. You know, there are a lot of things that we don't know right at the moment, but one of the things that we do know, based on all of the available evidence right at the moment, is that this was an assassination attempt on Donald Trump. And I was struck by your very powerful interview just a minute ago with Steve Scalise. And it's a very sobering reminder of how long this toxic swill has kind of been brewing in this country. And it's unacceptable. You can't have a free country of self-governance when you have violence like this. And it's, we are so lucky that we're not looking at a far graver situation for Donald Trump. Obviously, a supporter of his went out today to participate in our public politics, and apparently is dead. And that is just so unthinkable and so despicable. One other thing I think is important to note, as you pointed out, Donald Trump's, for all he knew, he was dead at that moment. Yet he took a moment to want to hold back and make sure people knew that he was okay. And to me, that is a sign of bravery and toughness and a concern for our political process in this country that is sorely needed. And I think he should be lauded for that. He is the toughest son of a gun to, I think, ever run for president.
Jake Gibson, a producer at Fox News, covers the Department of Justice and many other things for us, sends this message. Urgent, shooter dead, AR recovered. Federal law enforcement source says the shooter is dead and that an AR-style rifle was recovered at the scene. That from Jake Gibson, working the story back in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, and we are hearing from Matt Reedy, who is one of our producers, who is often on the campaign trail. He's out talking with folks here in Milwaukee, where we are getting ready to start the RNC, getting their reaction to this. He talks to one man who says this: "It is a tragedy. I hate to see what this country is becoming. I personally believe that we're onto some devastating events in our future. And, at the end of the day, I think Trump's just trying to make things better." Regardless of where you're coming from politically, guys, you said maybe it is time to pray for this country as a whole, for those who don't already do that, because it feels so divided. And the actions of this person today, as we get to learn more about it.
If I could here, I apologize for the interruption. Here we go. This is from Donald Trump's account, @RealDonaldTrump, and I'm going to go ahead and read it to you. By way of Trump's campaign, who sends it this way and says the following. I want to thank the United States Secret Service and all of law enforcement for their rapid response on the shooting that just took place in Butler, Pennsylvania. Most importantly, I want to extend my condolences to the family of the person at the rally who was killed, and also to the family of another person that was badly injured. It is incredible that such an act can take place in our country. Nothing is known at this time about the shooter, who is now dead. I was shot with a bullet that pierced the upper part of my right ear. I knew immediately that something was wrong and that I heard a whizzing sound, shots, and immediately felt the bullet ripping through the skin. Much bleeding took place, so I realized then what was happening. He concludes in all caps, "God bless America!" Exclamation point. That from Donald Trump at the medical facility now in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, and my goodness, you can see, as we saw these photos, you could see his bloodied ear and that blood across his face and his cheek there as well. And one of our guests, Peter Forselli, who was on moments ago, said, based on how, guns and trajectory and sound work, he probably was hit before he even realized the sound of what he was hearing. And we saw him before he hit the ground, that he reached up to touch his ear. So, as we've said repeatedly, the fact that this person was shooting at the former president of the United States, a current presidential contender, and within millimeters, centimeters, a difference. You are right there by his temple, and clearly it appears now that was the intention, was to take this man out. And what a miracle that he was not hit, that it wasn't just even a fraction of a measurement different, and you see him reacting in that moment.
Guy Charlie, stand by. I want to go back to the scene now. Correspondent Alexis McAdams has more from people that she is talking with. There's a little bit of daylight left. The days are long this year. It's kind of nice in the summertime, but mid-July, that summer heat in Pennsylvania must have been a remarkable day for so many tens of thousands who showed up for a rally to support a man that they want to put back in the White House. But this day is ending in a much different fashion. Alexis.
Bill, that's right. A hot day here and a humid day in Butler, Pennsylvania, where people waited for hours because they love former President Donald Trump. Everybody we talked to out here wanted to hear and, get a glimpse of him. When we got on that stage, he talked about some of his hot topics, as usual, during that, those rallies. There was the music playing, the excitement building, and then you heard a series of loud pops, which we're hearing from law enforcement officials was now gunshots. So I'm going to walk you this way a little bit. I want to take you here so we can talk with some of the people who were close and heard what happened and saw what happened. So you were there. You said your son was even closer to the man who ended up actually getting killed here at this rally. Tell me what you saw.
Well, we were supposed to be down there where my son was, but it was so hot and sunny that we decided to seek shade up, way up. So we weren't down where it happened, but my son was. And as soon as we heard what happened, I called him immediately, and he just said, "I'm okay." He goes, "I can't talk right now." And he was on the ground. And then that's all we knew. You know, we just stayed up where we were. We were way up on top of the hill.
When you heard those pops, did you know that they were gunshots? Did you think that they were gunshots?
It took me so by surprise, but I knew that that wasn't normal. You know, I knew something was wrong, and people were running. Instantly, people were running and screaming to get out. And we just didn't know what to do. And the first thing I did was call my son.
And your son was pretty close to that man who was shot. Yes. Did he describe kind of what it looked like? Was that man was he taken out by authorities?
He was. He said there was blood everywhere. People were splattered with blood. Yeah. And he said it's something I never wanted to see.
He said he went down instantly. Like when he got hit, he probably never knew what hit him.
Yeah.
And how close was your son sitting to this man who was shot?
He said he was about 6 feet away.
I think now, I mean, we were shocked too when we were up there, you know, on the media stage, and you hear the pops, you don't really know what's going on. You try to take cover, knowing that your son was so close and could have been shot. How are you feeling?
In shock.
In shock.
Can't believe it that this would happen in Butler, Pennsylvania. And my son saw the shooter on the roof of that AGR building.
Walk me through what he told you about that, because we've seen, and Bill, you know that too, we've seen these reports coming in, possible, you know, photos or pictures of people in the crowd trying to see, you know, what was going on, where the shooter was. Where did your son see a possible gunman?
He was laying on the roof of an AGR building, not in the farm show grounds.
So where is that, let's say, you know, when you're looking at the former president on that stage, the AGR building is how far out? Like being pretty close to that? Like, are we talking about behind the stage, in front of the stage? Where is this?
It's out a little ways. Yeah, it's I don't know, 100 feet or better, a couple hundred feet.
Okay, so that's what we're hearing. You know, just knowing that somebody was possibly up on a roof. You know, these people's family members saw someone up on a roof. We know the suspected gunman at this point is dead, and police recovering evidence at this point, as well as somebody who was just here for a Trump rally ends up getting shot and killed possibly. So we're keeping an eye on these developments, Bill.
Thanks, Alexis. Good to have you. Alexis McAdams back there in Butler, Pennsylvania. Thank you again. We'll be back with you momentarily, Shannon.
All right, let's check in with former Secret Service agent Tim Miller joining us now. Tim, this is a very difficult assignment. We thank you. You and those who serve as you do voluntarily to walk into these situations and quickly act as we saw today are heroes. I mean, what is it like to plan for this, to have a protectee, and to find yourself potentially facing this situation at any moment that you're in service?
Well, I want to give kudos to the agents today. Their response was amazing. And it goes to show you that this is the premier law enforcement protective agency in the world. Now, with that said, we often knew every time we did an advance that it's impossible to fully protect the President of the United States, as we saw today. Fortunately, their quick response today resulted in a president not losing his life. And, you know, he was half an inch away from losing his life. I think when you look at the details of what they have to do every day, the advances, it really brings home that Secret Service agents must be on their game every minute of every day, because if you think of the number of stops, you think of what they have to do daily, they have to be ready. And today they were ready.
Sir, we're getting some information about how many rounds were fired. None of this has been confirmed, but some of our colleagues are reporting this on other networks about an AR-style rifle, maybe 8 rounds fired. Maybe this shooter was up to 200 or 300 yards away. If you were to imagine that based on what limited information we have, does that sound right to you?
It absolutely does. You know, the effective range of an AR is about 300 yards. And ever since 1963, the Secret Service is very concerned about anybody up on roofs. I saw some reports that people saw someone up on the roof. And if that's true, then the Secret Service has countermeasures to that. So there's a lot of questions to be answered right now. I will tell you it happens in split seconds. So 8 rounds from 300 yards regards, especially with, the shooters, actually striking at least a portion of the president, is very alarming.
Sir, thank you very much for your expertise on this historic evening and a day of tragedy for the family who lost their own loved one at that rally. Shane.
It absolutely is, and others that we understand, at least one, maybe others critically injured, and the folks there forever shocked and scarred, and many who were watching this live in our country. As we walk through this moment, we want to replay for folks who have not seen this start to finish, so you can see the reaction as the moment President Trump realizes something has gone very wrong. By his own account moments ago, he says he knew that he had to get down, that there was something terribly wrong unfolding. He heard the shots. We'll let you watch for yourself through the moment that you see this. When he lifts his fist, lets people know as he is carried away by the Secret Service that he's going to be fine.
Take a look at what happened. Let me get my shoes.
I got you, sir. I got you, sir.
Let me get my shoes, sir.
Hold on, your head is bloody.
So we got to move to the class. Let me get my shoes.
Okay. Watch out.
Wait.
We're going to go over that 2 minutes and 30 seconds for an awful long time, that video there. Statement by the U.S. Secret Service just came out 2 minutes ago. It's a long paragraph. I'm going to read it now, okay? During former President Trump's campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania on the evening of July 13, at approximately 6:15 p.m., a suspected shooter fired multiple shots toward the stage from an elevated position outside of the rally venue. U.S. Secret Service personnel neutralized the shooter, who is now deceased. U.S. Secret Service quickly responded with protective measures, and former President Trump is safe. One spectator was killed, 2 spectators critically injured. This incident is currently under investigation, and the Secret Service has notified the FBI. Shannon, what clearly sticks out is that line about a suspected shooter firing multiple shots from an elevated position outside of the rally venue, which would synchronize with some of the things we've been picking up on social media about a man dead on top of a roof outside of the rally.
Yeah, and witnesses who were there on the scene have talked with our Alexis McAdams. I want to read too from Ivanka Trump saying, "Thank you for your love and prayers for my father and for other victims of today's senseless violence in Butler, Pennsylvania. I'm grateful to the Secret Service and all the other law enforcement officers for their quick and decisive actions today. I continue to pray for our country. I love you, Dad, today and always."
Wow. Jason Chaffetz, quickly to you. I've got some more information, but go ahead, Jason.
This is a catastrophic failure of the United States Secret Service. The men and women who jumped on the former president, got in between him and a would-be shooter, they're heroes. But if there was a person with a gun within proximity to take down the president of the United States, those people have got to be held accountable. They should be fired. There is no reason that a gun should be within close proximity that can shoot a former president of the United States. That's why we have the Secret Service, and they failed us today. They failed us.
Jason, thank you. Jake Gibson reports the ID is not confirmed. Federal law sources, enforcement sources, tell us the shooter's identity is still unconfirmed, and they're working on it. But first reports suggest the shooter was not carrying ID. So that is the initial report about the potential identity of the shooter. Shannon, you've got Fox News Sunday tomorrow morning. You will be on this story then. And thank you for your excellent work tonight.
You too, my friend.
All right, here's Sean.